From Of Mice and Men, it's Aaron bloody Pauley. How you doing?
How's it going?
I'm good. I went in a little bit too excited there, but I'm raising the bar to be as excited as
I
possible.
like it. I like it. You gotta bring the intensity these days,
Exactly right. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm doing well. Just doing some audio work and whatnot. We've got like an album coming out, and then we decided to literally start a project. Actually, we decided to start two projects basically simultaneously right at the same time. So,
Wow. Okay. So just super busy.
Yeah, but it's a good thing.
Right. I know that you've got a new album coming out 3rd of December, I believe.
Yep.
But the song I have to talk to you about is Money. It is the song that turned me on to Of Mice and Men. I played it on BBC Radio 1 when I was presenting there. And I hit play and I had it as loud as possible in the studio. The speakers were shaking on the side of the studio, like members of staff were falling over. Like, that's how loud it was. But how the fuck did you get permission from Pink Floyd to do that?
So it turns out that you can do covers of songs. It's not necessarily that you have to get permission to release your own versions of things, as long as you don't mess with the composition, but you definitely don't get permission to exploit it in any way.
Okay.
Yeah, and so I don't know that this is true, but the figure that I had heard was that it was going to cost us around $750,000 to be able to purchase the ability to then commercially do something with that song.
Wow.
That song was purely an exercise in recreating something that we like in our style, simply for the fun of it, because we had extra time in the studio. Like,
it was an for me. Excuse me. For me, so many bands, I think, try to do a cover and put their stamp on it, and I don't think it works. But when you decided to do Money, everything about it worked, because it wasn't like you were trying to be Pink Floyd. You were being Of Mice and Men, but putting a badass stint on a very well-established song to make it your own.
That's awesome. Thank you. That's really funny, because it was literally just an afternoon of kind of joking around, of just like, well, we have all this extra time, which we never have in the studio. We were working with Howard Benson on Defy, and we had extra time. We were basically done with all the songs that we were written and that we knew were going to make the album. So Howard was like, well, let's just do a cover just for fun. What song? And I immediately threw it out, like, just like, like a hand grenade, because it's like, A, you don't cover Pink Floyd songs, and B,
yes,
you're not going to cover that song. And we were like, oh, that's basically the perfect reason to do it. So
it works. It works.
And we played it live. Like, we played it live on that tour, and the crowd liked it. It was a fun, like, break in the show.
I'm so gutted I haven't seen you perform that live. But if that sentence in itself isn't a big enough hint for when you come to the UK to play that track just for me, then that's what you'll have to do, because it'll be awesome.
We'll have to pull it out of the
yes. So you've got a new album out on the 3rd of December, which I'm super excited to hear, because, as I said, I was a bit late to the Of Mice and Men party. I kind of, it was Money that really turned
better late than never,
Exactly right. I'm streaming, that's what matters. But what do you think the new album holds that is perhaps different from your previous release?
I think it's probably more experimental in terms of, like, overall sound, just in terms of songwriting, composition, and certain sound design elements. Like, because we completely self-produced the record, we had a lot of time, and we had a lot of, when you're not on somebody else's clock, you have a lot of creative freedom, at least in your own mind, to say that, like, I'm going to mess around dicking with a synth for like an hour and a half, and I'm not going to be wasting anybody else's time, because it's my time. You know what I mean?
Right.
So the fact that we all got to sort of invest in the record in that way, each of us ourselves, yeah, I don't know. I think, if anything, I'd say it's a cliche, but it's probably more experimental, because we felt like we had the creative ability to do so.
And you've said sort of online that, and I don't know if this is true, but you've said that the album, you've had obviously a lot more time to put it together because of lockdown, because you haven't been able to, tour and get out of the US. do you think that having additional time has been a benefit for you as musicians, or do you think it's made you perhaps dissect your work more than you usually would?
Um, I think if anything, it's just given us sort of the time and the focus to just sit and create music because you don't have anything else to do.
There's only so
There's
much Pornhub you can watch, right?
well, no, I just mean in terms of like touring, there's not that outlet. So
Yeah,
if you think about what you do as a musician in a band, it's like that's half of it. The other half is make music. So if you don't have the ability to make music, or if you don't have the ability to tour, and you have the ability to make music, even albeit via Zoom and Dropbox and whatnot, um, it ultimately I think is just a nice exercise in creativity and also in decision making because you have to sort of refine your decision making when you're working in virtual
of
spaces.
course. Definitely. So Echo comes out on the 3rd of December. It's going to be amazing to hear you guys coming out again. Have you got plans to tour this album, or how's it all working for you with lockdown and stuff? Are you going to be able to do it?
So basically right now, there's nothing that's booked immediately around the tour. I think the soonest touring that we have on the books right now is actually UK Europe.
Okay.
Starting in June or July, I believe, like for
Okay.
festival season. Um, but no, we're not super in a hurry to like rush to that.
Sure.
Um, Not that we're against it by any means. I'm super stoked anytime I see homies out playing shows because I really, really want to play a show.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
but we're sort of at a level where it takes a lot to put on a gig and it takes a lot of time to get all of that together.
Hmm.
And so, I'd like to say maybe spring before summer, but
Right.
there's no immediate touring plans.
With regards to being as successful as you are, Aaron, you've toured the world. You've played in front of hundreds and thousands of people. You're still in your 30s, so like you're very, without sounding sort of, patronizing, you're still very young. You've got so much ahead of you. In
Damn,
your
I feel so old. I was like, damn, it doesn't feel that way, but keep going.
No. Each compliment's a tenner. But
Your check is in the mail.
but being in your 30s, having so much experience with live music, this is a question that I ask the majority of my guests, and I think you're going to be one of the most perfect people to ask this. Firstly, it's a two-part question, I suppose. Firstly, is Spinal Tap a true reflection of what really happens behind the scenes in rock and roll? And also, can you tell me your biggest Spinal Tap moment to date?
Oh, yeah. I mean, Spinal Tap is fiction that is absolutely based off of people's real life experiences. In terms of not being able to find the stage,
Exactly.
there have been times, and this is not a joke. There have been times where we've done, and I'm trying to recall the specific festivals, but some of the European festivals where your bus is parked
Yeah.
like a kilometer or two away from wherever your
Okay.
stage is, and you have to take multiple shuttles. You have to take a shuttle to get from your bus to where your green room is, but
Right.
where your dressing room is not near where the stage is. So you have to take a
Uh,
different shuttle to get to that stage. And I just hang around everybody because when it comes time to do that, because I am 100% that dude that will get lost trying to find it. No, I don't know. It's maybe not a Spinal Tap moment, but I did eat shit on stage in front of like 20,000 people on Warped Tour when a riser, like one of the legs, like the front legs, like broke, and so then the
no.
back legs broke, and I basically like just flipped the whole thing backwards and went whoop, and just kind of I destroyed the bass. It never worked again. And then I thought
No.
what's wild is at the time I thought I broke my arm because I'd fallen on my arm and I guess I'd hit it hard enough to where it went numb.
Yeah.
And when it went numb, I thought I broke it. I was like, dude, I think I might have broken my arm.
No.
But then the next day it was fine. It was just a little bruised, but
I don't
yeah,
know.
sometimes you can hit your arm or something and the whole thing goes numb and
Yeah,
you're
yeah,
like,
yeah.
oh, that's
I
not
mean,
good.
my life, I don't think it's quite as rock and roll as yours. I mean, you nearly break your arm off a riser on a stage in front of like 10,000 people. I might hit it washing up or something. So I think our worlds are very different.
Yeah, but equally dangerous.
So true, so true. Obviously, like you guys have been going for a while. And I think it's fair to say that every album you have released has got better and better and better. To the aspiring musician, Aaron, listening to this and thinking, I want to fucking go and break my arm on stage, or but jokes aside, I want to like go and do the things and be a successful musician and follow in the footsteps of mice and men. What would your advice be, real advice be, to somebody listening that is just chasing that dream and seems to be kind of stuck in limbo, regardless of the genre they're pursuing?
Um, it all starts with and ends with the songs. Like everything else is secondary to that. I think everything from playing shows to becoming successful to creating albums, like any and all of it, it's sort of the alpha omega. It's the songs. So focus your intention on creating honestly, and I would say just learn to listen critically to music. Like just listen to your favorite records all the time and try and figure out why they're your favorite records, and then
Okay,
take those things that you love and put them into your own music.
that's
But
interesting.
it is yeah, it's not social media, it's not marketing, it's not branding, it's not your merch, it's the music. It's because ultimately that's what people are always going to go back to, and it's arguably the thing that will outlive everything else.
Right, right. But when you say, Aaron, it's not, you know, social media, it's not kind of, you touched upon like the internet's importance in the music business. Do you think that the internet is something that's positive or negative with regards to not only aspiring musicians but people of your caliber as well?
um I think it's sort of like a Zippo lighter. You know what I mean? It's yeah, it's a good thing if you need a campfire, and it's a bad thing if you're lighting things on fire in your house. So
Okay,
the internet is a tool, and I think it's a great thing, and it's also a bad thing, but it's not inherently either of those things. I think it's really easy to misuse, and there's no, like, we're not even teaching kids anything about, like, in schools or anything with regards to like official education about like the internet and how to interact with it, because
mm,
nobody knows how to interact with it. But I would say, and I'm not trying to minimize the internet, but you could have a great internet following, and if you're not putting everything into your actual song creation, then
yeah,
you're never going to see that sort of success in there that you want, because
okay.
it will ultimately always come back to that.
It's interesting you say that, because uh, I totally get that vibe from you. Some people we speak to, and it's like it's all about the internet, and and that's great, that's their opinion. But you're very much somebody that, as you say, you start on the song, that the root of the success is based around the track. It's not based around how many follows you've got on Instagram or streams on Spotify.
No, it's my ability to do what I love, which is, that was the question. It's, if you want to do
Sure.
what you love, my ability to do what I love isn't because of my social media or any of that. It's because of songs. It's because the
Right.
songs resonate with people and I'm given the opportunity to perform them for them. But um, it gets really convoluted when you see in modern day anything. You really do need social media for advertising.
Right.
But if you're, I don't know, it's almost kind of like the dog chases the mail truck but doesn't know what to do with it if you catch it. It's like
Right.
you can have that, you can really push to get a big social media following and whatnot, and then that's not when you want to try and figure out how to write the great songs.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
um and I think the biggest success stories you see, like I always go back to talking about Billie Eilish, making
Mhm.
a record with her brother like in a bedroom and then winning
Yes.
Grammys. And it starts with the music, and it ends with the music,
Mm.
and social media has a big role in connecting people with it. But if you're not going to connect people with something that you've honestly made that's a piece of yourself, so I always just tell people, just focus on the music and the shows, and everything else will
Follow.
come.
Okay. That's
And then
awesome.
and then try and think of your social media as a way of marketing and connecting. But
It's hard. It's hard, isn't it? It's like a full time job for a lot of people. The aspiring musician listening to this now probably has a 9 to 5. They probably, they might even have a family. They've then got to spend all their spare time, pushing themselves on social media. Then they've got to write the songs, and it's time management, I suppose, which is a hugely important part of being on the road to success. When did you realize? I know you're pushed for time, so I'll wrap this up. When did you realize that Of Mice and Men was going to be your full-time job?
probably the second or third week into Warped Tour 2012, when I was still
Okay.
just filling in. We had just all like vibed, and like the chemistry was so good, especially on stage, and the band's whole ethos and mission statement, like the band was very aware
Mhm.
of how impactful the music was for people,
Yeah.
and that a lot of people like found hope in it and whatnot. And I really it was never about like being preachy or anything like that, but it was always just about like, ever since I'd been with the band, it was always very cognizant that like, oh, what we do actually helps people, and that's like way more important than
Sure.
being cool or being a big band or any of that. So that was always sort of the MO there. So um yeah. And I think it's the reason our us being here now is not a testament to us at all. It's just a testament to our fans
Yeah.
finding value in what we've made. So we're always hugely appreciative. And that's part of the reason why, we just keep continuing to make so much music.
You guys are hugely personable. I mean, I've been speaking to you like online for what, like years. We've always kind of synced with each other. And I think that's really cool that you've been able to, I don't know if it's just I've just been kind of like, lucky, and we've kind of just got talking and got on, but actually you've always been somebody that you've not put yourself on a pedestal. And I think in the world of rock and metal, that actually would only increase a fan's emotional attachment to you as a band. If they think, oh, these guys are great, but actually, they're not very nice people, then maybe they might not come to your shows. That could potentially put you guys in jeopardy by being that way. But actually, by being so kind of personable and as lovely as you have been, for me as a fan, that's only increased how much I like and value you guys as a band.
Well, thanks, man. It honestly, it just comes down to like, all we're doing as musicians is sharing either our personal human experiences, or we're sharing our witnessed human experiences. And
Yeah.
I don't think that makes anybody better than anybody else. I think the fact that
Mm,
people can hear a song that we've written about loss and resonate with it and connect with it,
yes.
that's the most like human thing you can do, is sort of partake in the shared human experience. Like there's
Mm,
we think we're all very different. We think we have like a lot of very unique experiences, and I think that's true.
mhm.
But there's so many like human experiences that I feel like everybody goes through at some point and in their
Yes.
lives. And I feel like, because that's usually our biggest source of inspiration, is either our lived experiences or our witnessed experiences. It's not I don't know, it would just feel so bizarre and disingenuous to like think of yourself as being like anything other than another person
Like
that's
a
having,
god.
yeah. I don't really understand that, because it's not like, you know, I didn't create like Tesla cars. You know what I didn't change the world. All I did was share an experience, and I think that's just like the most
Yeah.
human and non-special thing you can do. But the
Do,
fact that people find meaning in it is awesome, and that's the whole point. Because music did that for me. I'm sure it did that for you. That's the reason why we give our
100%.
time and we give our lives to it, because it does something to us. You can close your eyes and listen to music, and it does something to you. And I think it's a cool
Oh,
thing to be able to connect with people because of that.
you and I need to go for a beer when you are back in the UK. We are going for a beer because I could talk to you for hours, man.
We'll do it.
Um,
100%.
so Echo is out on the 3rd of December. Aaron, thank you so much for joining me,
Thank you
and
so much, Ollie.
we'll see you on the road.
Thank you for your patience. You have the patience of a saint.
Oh, stop it.
I tend to spread myself too thin, and when I'm left in charge of handling things like for myself, that's how it ends up.
Honestly, this is literally my pleasure, man. I'm just going to stop recording.